Hi, I'm Marina and it's great to see you. And today I'm so excited we will be trying out and reviewing the brand new Danessa Myricks Groundwork Palette. If you'd like to see how this performs and find out how it performed on all of my clients, keep on watching. Now, the only way you would not know about this palette is pretty much if you have been living under a rock. It's gone viral all over social media, all over all of the Danessa Myricks social media platforms. I have been so excited to try this palette. I went out immediately to my local Sephora and got it. And let's start off with the unicorn. The packaging, isn't this just beautiful? It's bronzy, pretty. I mean, it really catches the eye, and when you open it, even the palette itself, the outer packaging is pretty. Before I actually open the palette itself, I have to pre-warn you all. Those of you who follow me on social media would know this, but I've had this palette for a little over a week now, and she has been very well loved. I'm going to open it now and show that to you. Has a beautiful large mirror to the top. Of course, it has the plastic to protect the palette. And here is the palette itself, the Danessa Myricks Groundwork Palette. Isn't she pretty? I am so in love with this palette. As you can see, it has two formulas in it. It's powder, which contains oxalate, which helps control oils and sebum in the skin, and the pomade. Now, this can be used all over the face, not just on the eyes. You can use it to do your eyebrows, contour, even the orange hair. This color, I've been using it to color correct. And as you can see, mine has gotten tons and tons of use since I've gotten it. Now, the first thing I'm gonna do with this is go into one of the pomades to fill in my brows. I'm thinking using my Sigma EO6 brush, I'll be going in to, I think the best shade for me at this time would be the shade here, Sculpted. Now, as you can see, this palette can fold all the way back, which I love as an artist. I find that very convenient. And taking my brush, dipping it right here into the shade Sculpted, and beginning to map out my brows. As you guys can see, that's one stroke. Super pigmented. Very creamy without being smudgy. So far, I've been able to do the tail end of my brow as well as the baseline without having to dip back into the palette. And myself and some other makeup artists that I'm in a group with on Facebook, we actually had a concern about the pomades and being sanitary with them. As you all know, you should never ever double dip into creamy or liquid products. So because of that concern, and I want to keep it sanitary for myself as well as clients, what I've been doing is, now if anybody from Danessa's team or Danessa herself sees, hopefully she sees this and can correct me if I'm wrong with this. Let me know if I need to keep sanitizing my brush or switching brushes in between each time I dip into the pan. I'm going to quickly do the other brow off camera. The pomades can definitely be used as eyeshadow base. However, for the technique that I like to use to clean up the base of my brows and set my eyes to do my eyeshadow, I really feel that the formula for this doesn't work. It's not as liquidy, I suppose is the description, as I would like it to be. So I'm still going to go in with my usual brow base, my usual eyeshadow base, which is the Makeup Forever Full Cover concealer in the shade 01. And for those of you who want to learn how to fill in your brows, I actually have a full tutorial on how to do your brows. I will link that in the description bar down below. To set the creasy part of my lids, I always set that part. I'll be going into the color Sandstone in the powder section and just bringing it into the creasy area to ensure that I have no creasing. To best show what this palette can do, I think I'm going to be doing a soft smoky eye with a little definition. So I'll be taking my Madame Mirage smudger brush, which is also a pencil brush, and dipping it into the color. I think my first color will be Harvest in the pomade section. Now a little goes a very long way with the pomades and with the powders. I'm looking straight ahead into my mirror so that you can see. I'll turn this way so you guys can see. I'm bringing it into the crease. Now taking my Makeup Forever 214 straight blender brush, I'll be dipping it into the powdered Harvest, tapping off any excess. There was very little tap off, if you guys can see, look, nothing really, and going over the pomade. Now going back in with my pencil smudger brush, I'll be dipping into the color Mirage in the pomade side. Now this is one thing I absolutely adore about this palette. Besides the appearance, the formulas work so well together. I can literally take this cream formula and go in where I went in over with a powder, and it's not going to ruin or make it look muddy. Look at this. Going in 50% above and 50% in the color. And just using tiny scratching motions, creating that soft blend. Now taking a small blender brush, Madame Mirage small crease blending, and going into Mirage in the powder formula. And repeating the same thing, 50% above and 50% in the original color. Now taking my brow setting brush, I'll be dipping it into the pomade side of Sandstone and bringing it at the brow bone, right at the arch. And flipping it to the other side, going into the powder version and setting the brow. Because I want to deepen my outer V area here, I'll be taking my pencil brush, dipping it into this color here, Bark, in the pomade section, and bringing it into the outer V area here. And gently blending the outer edge upward. And taking my small blender brush, bringing it into Bark in the powder section. Taking a large flat shader brush, I'll be going back into the color Stone in the pomade area and bringing it onto my eyelid. And flipping the brush on the other side and dipping it into the powder. And gently patting and pressing to set the area. Taking a flat top brush, I'll be dipping it into the color Tourmaline, which is the gorgeous pitch black in the pomade area. Now, I have not done this trick on any clients or anyone before, so I'm going to test this out for you all. First time here on this channel. I will be attempting to use it to tight line my eyes, and I'll see how it feels, the formula, as well as how black it makes my eyes look. Now you can definitely see a difference between my lash line on my left side and on my right side. This left line is much thicker, much fuller looking, and I will say so far it feels very comfortable. Doesn't burn my eyes, doesn't feel like anything fell off and flicked off into my eyes. It's super comfortable. So now this is a new tight lining hack. It can also be used for tight lining. This palette so far knows no bound. Taking my winged liner brush, going back into tourmaline, I will be creating a winged liner. I've used this on my clients and they loved it for their wings. They got lots and lots of compliments as to how black and intense it looked. Now I can't breathe while I'm doing this, y'all, and I have to look straight ahead. Now dipping it into the powder side of tourmaline, not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, and I'll be setting the wing. Now I'll do the same thing to the other eye on the other side. To clean up the edge here from the excess color, I'm gonna just use a makeup wipe. Giving myself a nice sharp edge. Now, because I don't want my lower waterline to be too dark, but I want some definition, I'll be going back in with the same flat top brush, going into the pomade side of sandstone and bringing it to the waterline. Again, definition. Look at the left side compared to the right side, and again, doesn't burn the eyes, doesn't feel uncomfortable. But because I want it to last really long, I'll also be going into the powder side and bringing it into the waterline. Dipping back into the bark pomade and lining in my lower lash line with it. So there's now a nice contrast between the lower lash line and the waterline itself. Turning it on the other side and going back into bark on the powder side to finish set. And taking a Morphe pencil brush, I'll be dipping it into the Mirage pomade to smoke out the lower lash line further. Cleaning off the cream side, well, pomade side of the brush, and dipping back into Mirage and the powder side. And of course repeating it on the other side of my eye. I'll be doing that quickly off camera. My under eyes are a little bit discolored, a little bit dark. I'll be using the shade Core as a color corrector under my eyes. It has a nice orangey tone to it without being extremely orange. Just using it here to cancel out the darkness. And now lightly, keyword being lightly, setting it before I put my concealer over it with the powder to core. As you guys can see, I unfortunately have a little hyperpigmentation spot right there because unfortunately I had a pimple there. I'll be dipping back into Core on the pomade side, going over it as a color correct, and lightly setting it with Core powder. Blending it out, and I'll be going over it with my concealer as well. As you all can see, I just set only under my under eyes and I set them to bake. So time to contour the face now. And I'll be going into the shade Chiseled to contour my nose in the pomade side. Going into that same shade to contour the lower lip. I'll be using the same shade Chisel to contour the rest of my face. I'm going in with my foundation brush. This is the Makeup by Mario foundation brush. Don't remember the number and I think it's rubbed off of mine. Just blending in and softening the contour. Now going in with my contour brush, I'm going into the powder side of Chiseled. And yes, this is the powder of Chiseled. Just going back over the nose contour to reinforce it. And taking a smaller brush to define the center of the nose with Sandstone in the pomade side. And gently using a brush to tap that in. Tapping, not rubbing. And going in with a blender brush, blending out the sides of the nose contour. I'm going back in with that same brush and reinforcing the center of the nose to set. I really want people to walk up to me and be like, "Mom, are you okay? Can you breathe?" My last order from Danessa, I got this Vision Flush sample pack, and I will be using today the colors Tiara as my highlighter, and I'm feeling Tutu as my blush and lip color. lip liner, I'll be going into the shade, I think I'm feeling Mirage in the pomade. And deepen that lip line a little bit, so I'll lightly dip into Bark. Now I know I said I would use Tutu on the lips as well, but I'm really feeling ballet slippers, so ballet slippers will be on the lips. Now last but not least, I've been seeing someone using these pomades as faux freckles. I am really not a fan of the faux freckle trend. However, I have a mole right here, a beauty mark that I will be using between Bark and Tourmaline to mark in. I'm taking the shade Tourmaline in the pomade at the very tip of the brush, bringing it onto the mark. To soften the look, I will be setting it with a bit of Bark powder. I'm just going in with a bit of sandstone to set certain places that I get more oily. This is the sandstone powder. To complete my look, I'll be popping on these lashes. This is Kiss Lash Couture Masterpiece Lashes in the style Avant Garde, and I will be back with my final thoughts. So this is the final look. Let me know what you think. As for my final thoughts about the Danessa Myricks Beauty Groundwork Palette, it is a 100% must-have for a pro makeup artist as well as beginners. I would say, yes, it can be a little intimidating looking if you're not 100% familiar with the formula, but that's the fun part about makeup. You get to play, you get to try, you get to learn. So if you haven't grabbed this as yet, I would love for you to all go out, grab this, get it, and play. That's all for today. See you next time, guys. Bye.